Hi and welcome to another edition of the Droopy Dog Gamer. If you like our channel, please remember to click and subscribe, it really helps us out a lot. I'm Leighton, today I'm joined by my co-star, the Droopy Dog herself. She's looking about as energetic as normal. Today we're looking at the best budget soundbars you can buy and how they can enhance your gaming experience.
Skilled workers share the responsibility that comes with the pride of building the television set found in more homes than any other.
Technology has certainly come a long way since the first television sets were built. But over the last few years, there's a part of the television that seems to have gone backwards, and that's its sound. Now, back when television sets sat in huge wooden boxes, no one really thought about the sound. You turned the volume up, you turned it down. They had nice speakers that sat inside the wooden case. However, with modern television sets now thinner than a slice of toast, there's not really much room for the speakers. And you can spend £1,000 on a television set and it'll be filled with the latest screen technology like QLED LED screens, and it'll be crystal clear. But the sound, it'll still sound like a wasp blowing off. And then in the early noughties, as the televisions were getting thinner and thinner, along came the soundbar. This one is the only soundbar that we've got in our soundbars with no separate bass speaker, because this one's got a bass speaker built in. It boasts 4 inputs, so the inputs on the back, we can have an optical input, a coax input, or a simple analog auxiliary input, which is like a little mini jack plug. It's also got the optical cable, which I think is the most important input. It also, and the 4th input is Bluetooth. So it works off as a Bluetooth, which is really useful because it means you can just simply connect your phone to it. Also on the side, it boasts a USB input there, which is quite smart, and all the soundbars obviously are remote control, which is really essential, because you don't want to be getting up to your television back in the 80s and turning your sound up and down. One big complaint I have with this soundbar is the fact that the light on the front is so bright and it doesn't go off. On some of the soundbars, it kind of lights up for 5 seconds and then disappears. It just remains lit, and that is a huge fault with this one. So I mean, I've solved that by, as you can see, just sticking a little bit of tape, electrical tape, over where the light is. But obviously the consequences of that mean that I can't see exactly what number volume I'm on, and also sort of which input is selected. But I'd rather have that than sit and stare at this huge fluorescent light when I'm trying to either watch a film or play a game. Really, really annoying. So yeah, it's a thumbs down on that for me. For some strange reason, Paida don't really advertise their models, which is a little bit odd. This normally retails at $79.99. But at the moment it's on limited edition on Amazon for just a tad over £55, which is pretty much one of the cheapest soundbars you can buy. This model is the FS22C, but like I say, the strange thing is Paida and Amazon, they don't advertise the actual model numbers, which is bizarre for some strange reason. You really want to see what model you're buying, but I guess at this price you got to take a punt. The only way you can sort of recognise this soundbar is if I put it sort of lengthwise. It's kind of shaped a little bit like a diamond, so it sits flat on the desk like that, and it's not a square. It's kind of like sitting sort of horizontally, almost in a diamond shape. So that's the way to recognise this one. Now, it's a strange thing sort of reviewing soundbars, because I can't give you an exact example of what they sound like. All I can do is sort of turn them on and the microphone will pick up the frequencies, but you won't get a true sort of a true example of what they sound like, so it's pointless. So I'm just going to give you my experience. I've been a sound engineer for over 20 years. I've worked with huge PA rigs, bands and all sorts of things, so I'm pretty used to sound. It's sort of my area of what I do. I was really amazingly surprised with this soundbar. The quality is really, really good. It's advertised at 60 watts, which is 120 decibels of sound. Yeah, really Pader, really 120 decibels. That is the only sort of reason I can fault this one, is that in a large room or even a medium-sized lounge such as ours, we put it on in the lounge, and my wife does not like sort of loud booming cinema effects and things like that, but even she said it's as loud as it goes. The impressive thing with it is that if you turn the volume right up, you don't get distortion, which is what normally happens. And as I say, we're looking at them primarily for gaming, and that's what I've been doing. I've tried this out on Warzone, Call of Duty, which I think is sort of one of the best sounding games on the market. It's got real high fidelity sound quality, and there's lots of effects on there, booms and explosions that you can really kind of measure the width of the frequency and what the speaker can produce. And this is really good. It totally defies its sound its price. So it's a lot of bang for the buck, this one. As I say, it's the only one that is self sort of sufficient. There's no separate subwoofer or bass speaker, whatever you want to call it. It's all built in. Ideal for a bedroom, not so much probably for a lounge, but for £55 at the moment, that's a steal. I'm really impressed with the sound quality of the FS22C. The only thing that brings it down is just that level of peak volume. In a large room, it's just totally lost. So for that reason, it gets a respectable but average 6 out of 10 bones. The second soundbar we're going to be looking at is by Bowmaker, and it's called the Tapio 3. Once again, it's not really advertised as the Tapio 3, so you can only kind of recognise it on Amazon as the Bowmaker 2.1 soundbar. At £121, it's kind of in line with Samsung and a few other more well-known brands, but the reason I've chosen the Bowmaker is because it's got that spec of 180 watts on the amplifier and the speakers. It also comes with a 5.25 inch subwoofer and the bass speaker all captured there with a nice sort of bass tube at the side. So I'm expecting this one to be much better. However, when I tested it, unfortunately it didn't really live up to the spec on paper. It's certainly louder than the Pader sort of soundbar that we looked at, a lot louder, but the sound quality is nowhere near as good as the Pader one. So the soundbar on this comes in two pieces when you first get it, and it's got two little connectors in there, and you basically join them together like so, and there you go. And it's pretty much the same size as the Pader soundbar that we looked at earlier on, size and length. Obviously only the difference is you get the big bass speaker with it, which is really nice. The other nice thing about this is the lights actually within the soundbar itself are much dimmer than the Pader soundbar that we looked at earlier on. So luckily they're not, if you've got the sort of lights down in your room while you're watching a film or playing your games, it's not going to shine really bright in your eyes, which is the problem we had with the first one. So that's quite nice. The biggest letdown for this soundbar is the actual sound itself. It's really poor. It's an odd thing with this. At low levels, you kind of get cut out, and you get almost like a low level distortion on the sound. Really poor quality. The speaker itself is really poorly tuned. So when I say tuning, basically with any speaker you've got high frequency and mid-range frequencies within the soundbar itself, and then you've got a lower frequency coming from your bass speaker. So if that hasn't been tuned properly in the factory, then you'll get a really sort of an unlevel sound, an unbalanced sound, and you get a very sort of high frequency here and a very low frequency there, but there's no mid-range. So the voices and anything sort of in the middle of the two bands of sound, so you can't hear it. It's really poor. So yeah, unfortunately that really affects the score I can give this one. I think the Droopy Dog score on this one is going to be 2 out of 10. The sound quality just really lets it down. It's really overpriced. I can't recommend it. Okay, so we're back in my gaming room, and this is my sort of gaming setup. We've got a 42-inch Samsung TV there. The last soundbar we're looking at is another Paida soundbar. This is the 69CSL. Unfortunately, like I say, the model numbers, when you're trying to look for one, don't exactly mean a lot because for some strange reason, Amazon and Paida don't advertise their model numbers. It's just Paida soundbar. Now, this one's a little bit bigger. It's advertised as 120 watts. The bar itself, as you can see, sits perfectly under a 42-inch TV. It doesn't sort of stick out, just sits perfectly there. This model comes with a 5.25 bass speaker, so I'm pretty impressed with that. I like my bass. I like the extra sort of high fidelity sound it will give, the extra rumble, and yeah, you can't beat it. Now, none of the soundbars on offer here come with a Bluetooth bass speaker. Unfortunately, they've all got a wire attached to them. The quality of it is really, really good. $89.99, what a bargain. £90, you get little rubber feet on the bass speaker, and you've got, even on the front, you've got this kind of nice textured sort of horn in there for you, sort of the air to come out. Now, the thing with sound is, the sort of actual width of the speaker, the driver, the bass speaker, it affects how much air the driver can actually push out and produce. So a speaker, any sort of speaker with a bigger bass driver in it, this is a 5.25 inch one, the bigger that driver is there, the more air it will move and the more bass it will produce. So you're never ever going to get sort of bass from the first one we looked at, which has got that tiny little bass speaker built in. You're always going to get a much deeper and sort of better sound the bigger the speaker. It's got really good volume levels, much better than the first one we looked at. This, I've tried this in a couple of rooms. We've had it in our lounge, and it produced a really nice flat sound with good low sort of depths of bass and really nice sort of a nice, what I call, musical tone to it. It's just a well-tuned speaker, not like the Bowmaker one we looked at, which was just terrible. I don't know who in the factory sort of sat and played and tuned that speaker. It was absolutely dreadful. This one is so much better. I cannot fault this soundbar. It's the best soundbar of 2021. Produces really nice low levels of bass and really good high and mid frequencies. Really clear, really nice sound. 10 out of 10. Okay, that just about concludes our roundup of best budget soundbars for 2021. If you enjoy the content on the Droopy Dog Gamer, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It's essential to help the channel grow. We'll see you next time.